welcome to another Jarvis video. In the video series, what I'm going to talk about today is how I took a sell signal and I got stomped out. I was up almost $90 and I got stomped out. And it was because of my entry. So we're going to get into that. So let me go ahead and play that through. So this was a sell signal on MNQ. This is recent. This happened this morning. So there's that. So let's see what's happening here. So there's a pre-signal logic that says it's a sell that turns into a sell. There is a code blue. C2 comes in. Okay, pause it here. Okay, so here's what happens. So there was a sell signal that was a code blue. Code blue means that there was opposition on this sell. So that means sell was coming in with the bears and the bulls were right there fighting that in that candle. Then there was a C2, which is confirmation, and C3, which is confirmation. Confirmation has a total of two candles. If C2 is good enough and strong enough, there won't be a C3. But if C2 is not that strong, there'll be a C3. Um, so by the time E closed, I get a confirmation, okay, on my phone saying Jarvis buy, Jarvis sell confirmed. So I go to my desktop. Again, this is in replay, so this is already popped up already. But technically, when I got to my desktop, this candle was still being built out, which means this was still being it was oscillating. So at confirmation, this is the row that was updated um, for the F row, which we call the fun row now. This row was this particular icon is the JTP confirmation badge. So the Jarvis Trade Profile badge. This is the JTP evaluation, post evaluation badge. So basically, after either A1 or A2 print, this is what comes up. So what do you see right from the door about this particular structure? It started off needing some more information. That's what that little test tube is. It's saying it needs more data. It's not comfortable yet. By the time A1 printed though, it got upgraded from this to this. So technically right now, this structure is green. Okay? Structure is green. Now, A1 finally prints. So that's what we get. Now it's stuck here with green because of this A1 print. But by confirmation, I already know that it's a D key. There's only one sample and it was a 0% win rate. I noticed at confirmation snapshot, which is the signal plus these two candles, there was opposition. Because you see the high opposition arrow is up. This is a bullish look. How do you have a bullish look in a sell signal? That's why this blue also popped up as well. What else does it tell me? It tells me that it's a sell signal in a bullish high time frame. Um, Early Jarvis intelligence was only confirmation entries. Okay, post Jarvis intelligence now has these entries are being managed by JTP, the Jarvis Trade Profile Intelligence. That's what's being managed. That's what's managing these entries into these structures. Okay. But the foundation of Jarvis is confirmation, confirmation, confirmation. Even traders these days, they say the same thing. I need to confirm. A reason why a lot of traders get stomped out and try to front run the market is because they didn't confirm, right? But with Jarvis, that was the initial design of it. It was about confirmation. But now we've actually added additional candles, which we call acceptance, audit of acceptance follow through, and commitment, and then we have our DNA, okay? Evaluation. And it's fine because what Jarvis tells you to do is to take your time. Don't rush structures, don't rush entries, take your time, okay? Don't FOMO. Just take your time. So the A1, which is the acceptance, strong acceptance printed. Now, even at this time with A1 print, I still do not enter yet. Okay, I'm still waiting for one more candle. One more candle I need. I see for TDS on the D row, this is tempo, drift, and state. For TDS, I see in the state is a pullback. So that means Jarvis is saying this structure is going to have a pullback. Okay. There is no tempo, there is no drift because this tempo and drift is based off of historical values of the samples on the structure that you are trying to enter. If you see here, this sample was a loss, so that's why these two are blank. But in the state, at least at confirmation, you're going to get this at confirmation as well, it was a pullback. So let's go ahead and play the next candle. Okay, so the next candle comes up. All right, here we go. So this candle now is done. By this time, the DNA has printed. As you can see, look at these other values here. That's still the confirmation, badge that we were talking about. The sniper is red. That's a configuration that you set to basically say, okay, what type of trade do I want to get into? So if you're running a prop firm or you have a certain way you want to trade, basically you just have that get filtered. All right. So based off of my sniper filtering, this was a red. So it's basically saying Jarvis is saying, don't take this trade. This acceptance follow through, that's part of this candle printing strongly for acceptance and then managing the follow through. This follow through is a yellow minus, meaning it's even worse than weak, but it's not rejected. It's worse than weak, but it's not rejected. That's what yellow minus means. So what I was looking at that time, right, was two things. I've always said this on the TikTok videos and even on this YouTube videos. All you really need is just Jarvis and the Bollinger Bands. Technically, you don't need any other indicator. Although I do have some other indicators as well, you don't need other indicators at all. Just Jarvis and the Bollinger Bands. Okay, so a couple things that allow me to say, you know what, I'm still going to get into this trade. Even though Jarvis said the confidence score was a -1, the archetype was undefined. It was structure led for the edge type, and the personality was fragile, and the personality modification was unstable. So that means this is even a worse kind of fragile. All right. I still entered still because of a couple things. One, look at the Bollinger Bands here. See the EMA 50? It's curving down. The EMA 21 is also curving down and it's looking like it wants to cross over the 50. Okay, so when you see that happening, that means that's a bearish. When it's crossing over the 50 downward, it's more of like a bearish type of feel happening. The 200 was pretty much neutral. But look at this Bollinger Band lower. Look at that. That is really low. It's cutting right in. It's actually going beyond the actual lower Bollinger Band. So that said, you know what? I'm going to enter. So this purple line you see here, this future line, this is SEI. This is structural elasticity intelligence. When that comes up for two types of states, pullback and continuous, Jarvis will be able to map out, give an estimate on where it thinks the pullback will be. Consider that the pullback envelope. Okay, if you enter for this cell below this purple line, that means you're inside of the envelope of the pullback. If you're on the line, you're right on the line of the envelope. And then if you're above this line, you're outside of the envelope, which you can go either way. It doesn't matter, right? But there is some things that you have to look at here. And this is where I made the mistake. What I did was I said, okay, it's a pullback. It's a D key. Never won anything. It's a -1 confidence. Let me go ahead and enter at A1. Because remember, A2 printed all this information. This candle was still building. Okay, this candle was building. A2 was done. Now the HUD is completely finished. It's done. No more updates is happening to this. We're done. Unless drift had a value for real-time information, it would update. But since this doesn't have any data, drift is not going to have anything. So basically, by this candle here, this HUD is done. This candle is forming. And again, that's why I tell people, like with Jarvis, do not rush. Take your time. You really got to take your time with this market. It's fine. Don't rush it. So this candle is forming. So it's like, okay, this candle's printed. There's all the value here. I don't want to enter here because this candle is forming. It's too close to price. So let me enter here. All right, entered here. And I brought my, matter of fact, let me go ahead and put this stat map back in here. I think I used the stat map as well as some context here. Give it a second to load. Um, but I believe I brought my stop. I think I brought it to this guy. Yes, that's what I did. I brought it here, right here, to this wick. Because a couple things. I'm at least above. Matter of fact, let me turn off the stat map. I'll turn it back on in a minute. I was at least above the 50. If you see this line here, there's the 50 here. I was above the 50. Okay. I wasn't above the 21, but I was at least above the 50 at this time. And I was a little bit outside of the envelope of SEI, structural elasticity intelligence. I was a little bit above the envelope of this. So I felt like, okay, I'm good. Okay. Then I brought, now I can put the stat map back on. So then what I did was I utilized, I believe, the stat map. No, I brought this down all the way down to here, actually, to this PTR. These two lines, this is Jarvis. Okay. This is the bearish PTR. As you can see, down arrow. This clock is telling you how long it's existed. 280 bars. So bearish PTR means potential trend reversal going bearish. Currently, this market, if you look at it, the structure is building above this. So it's actually rejecting this guy. Okay. But I said, okay, the way this thing is falling, I'm thinking here. Now, there's 3 points, okay, where I could have used to reach to. If I'm just having Jarvis only, and I don't have the stat map from 2 degrees, let's just say Jarvis and the Bollinger Bands, I could use this guy as a structural reference, or I can use this guy as a structural reference. Okay? It's always good to try to use a structural reference when you are doing your box for your R's. Okay? Um, or have a number in mind. Like if you feel like you say, listen, I want 1R, you stick to 1R. You say, okay, it's gonna be 1R, and 1R is here, right? Here's what you want. You want at least when you do a 1R, 2R, 3R, whatever it is, let it be somewhere around a structural reference. That's all. You don't want it to be like 1R in the middle of nowhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's recent. I mean, not going all the way back to here to figure out where your wicks are. Nothing like that. I'm saying up to here. This is what you know right here in your face, right over here. Use these bands. These bands are great. The 21, the 50, and the 200, and then you got your Bollinger Band as well. Okay? Or if there's a PTR, use your PTR. Right? So that's what I did. Now, if I put the stat map on, what the stat map does, it creates another line of structural reference. And the 2 degree stat map is great for like where it feels that the structures will be getting built out and where it will hit the equilibrium, the bearish, the bullish manipulation zones, and then the distribution zones, which is great. That's why I love the stat map. Um, so, or I could have used this guy. Okay. Either way, I was in good money. Good money, right? 1R is here, 2.3R is here, 3.74R is here. All right. So I brought it down to here. Now, this SEI, talk about this SEI. This SEI is the structural elasticity intelligence, where Jarvis feels the pullback is going to happen, and how many bars is going to be for the pullback to happen. So here's what happens, okay? When you put your limit in, your limit needs to have a temporal window for you to get tapped in. You do not leave limits open forever because as structures get built out, it's built off of an idea. The idea will eventually have decay. The idea will decay. Okay, it's not going to be forever. So this is why we design it with the max bars of 12. So it's 12 bars. That's it. Okay. On a 2 minute is 12 bars. 1 minute is 12 bars. As you go up in time frame, the bars will decrease, so you don't have to worry about that. It's all programmed. It's already programmed inside of the Jarvis protocol. So this is the temporal pullback state basically. So it's like okay, Jarvis is saying I feel like it may come back to this area. This is your this under here is your envelope. This is the boundary of that envelope, and it says that it's going to be about 12 bars max. Okay, so you just say okay, cool. I entered on A1, so let's go ahead and play through and see exactly what happened. And I'll put the stat map back on because stat map was definitely on as well when I was going through it. Now this is the SEE. This SEE line is here. And what's interesting about this SEE line, which is kind of dope, look at the stat map. It kind of like literally overwrites the SE line. So everything is structure. Okay. So let's play it through. See what happens here. Matter of fact, I can actually speed it up a little bit because so it hit TP. Right. So it's going. Right now, I didn't get tapped in yet. There, boom, right here. This guy taps me in. Now look, it taps me in here on this candle. Next candle up. Look at this wick right here. Look at this guy. So watch what's going to happen. This is 1.5. Let me put this to 3x so you can see this one. I get tapped on this one here. Bing. All right. So let's talk this through. This is so crazy. All right. So I get tapped in here. The SEE line starts from A2 for 12 bars. Always starts from A2 for 12 bars. This is the beginning window. This is my end window. I get tapped in on this candle. Let me put a vertical bar in here so you guys can see it better. Okay. I enter here. SEE line starts from A2 window all the way 12 bars. I get tapped in here. This candle gets pushed down. That's why you see this big wick at the bottom. Gets pushed down to like here. At this point, I'm at almost $90 profit. Not too far from the 200 as you can see. It then does a complete reverse. It stops here. Now I'm in a significant loss. I haven't been stumped out yet. I'm hoping that maybe it didn't close above this 50. As you can tell, it wicked above the 50. It didn't close above the 50. That maybe the next one will just come here and come down. I get stomped out here. Okay. Watch what's gonna happen. And this is why I say like the market is going to market, right? Pause. See what's happening here. This candle wicked the equilibrium. This is the stat map. If anything from 2 degrees, even though this is all about Jarvis, we're biased about Jarvis. We are always going to give a shout out to 2 degrees because 2 degrees have some pretty dope indicators. One of our favorites is this stat map. This stat map is really, really, really great for boundaries, for structural boundaries. It's really, really great when you want to do any type of TP boxes and stuff like that and reaching out to a certain point. Because technically, if I didn't get stomped out here, I would have got 2.38R right there. And I would have been done for the day, frankly. Look what time this thing started. 9:34. I would have been out by 10 o'clock. Half an hour. I'm out. I'm good. One trade, solid, good. But instead, I get stomped out. Okay. So I will stop this here for now and just let's just talk through this process. Okay. So this is the 2 degrees. This is where I ended at. I'm going to turn off the stat map now so we can just look at just Jarvis. All right. So you can actually delete this box too. So this was my stomp out candle here, right? Actually, let me put this here for a second. What I was supposed to do. Okay. You see where I entered here? I was too deep inside of this envelope. So when you look at the line here as your boundary for your envelope, look at either candle close or open. It's best to go with open. It's best to go with close. Okay, when you're doing your candles, always go with close. Okay, like the market recognizes close. Okay, so always go with close. Um, so basically, I entered too far, like too deep into this envelope. If this is the boundary, I didn't have to use A1. There's the confirmation C3 candle for that was graded E that had that little velocity plus MACD energy um, update letting you know that there's some energy in the structure, which it is. If you look at it, it's decent energy in the structure. I could have used this candle. I could have used the C2 candle. But the best candle, honestly, that I could have used, all right, is this guy. Because guess what? I had down here, I was using 198 ticks. My max on these prop firms is 250 ticks, which is about 120 bucks, 130 bucks. That's it. That's the max that I go. If I brought this guy up here, then I could have actually, because remember, you always want to bring it up to the a little bit above the wick, never to the body. So I could have used this guy here. This probably would have been the best guy to use, actually. Okay, even though it's slightly a little bit above my 250, it's okay. And then what would have happened is I could have either used 2 degrees, the stat map here, or come down to here. Okay. But either way, if I had just used this, this is what was going to happen. Market would win all the way down. Right. I'm way up here. Market is doing its thing. I get tapped in here. And this was a strong wick. When this wick came up, it was like boom. I would have been tapped right here. Then it would have took my order all the way down to here. This is a 300 something dollar play. I would have been good for the day. So where was my mistake? My mistake was I saw I entered too deep into the envelope. If if Jarvis is saying here, try to get a little close. Like if you got a little bit of gap, maybe like here. Like if what I'm trying to say is that, and again, this is just my idea. Okay, you can choose your own idea. When you get Jarvis, you can figure out your own strategy. But like maybe you enter like I want to close like somewhere around here, or maybe somewhere like around here. But where I was way over here. This, look at this. This is too much gap. That takes up too much of your risk when you're ready to do your stop loss, and it messes up with your entry too on structure, right? Um, so that's where we are there. Let's see exactly what would have happened here if I have let this down to here. Let's turn off this replay and see. As a matter of fact, let's just play it through. Let's see what would have happened here. 'Cause this is interesting now, right? We got some inverted fair value gaps. Look, look at this. Look at this. Look, this is crazy. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Let me put this back up. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is the $500 on the table, guys. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Look, 2 degree stat map. I pulled it originally to this PTR. Look what it did. Right there, man. This is 3.55 R. Literally close to $400 right here and some change. And it's still going down. Okay? Kind of pissed about that. But it's fine. It's okay. It is what it is. Yo, shout out to Jarvis, man. I keep telling people, man, this indicator, this protocol wrapped in an indicator, this is what you need. You need Jarvis in your toolbox. Point blank, period. You need to get this in your toolbox. Period. Because it really analyzes market structure. And now you have all of this data. And then again, why did I enter? I entered because of the EMA 50 and the 21. These was curving down. And also too, by this time, the lower, even though the upper wasn't curving yet, the lower was also down. So I'm like, this is going to be up. This is going to go down. Even though Jarvis said -1 here, that's fine. Okay. So yes, with stat map off, could you have gotten this trade? Absolutely. Absolutely. You turn off stat map, turn off forever, and the inverted fair value gap. This is Jarvis cleanly, literally cleanly, right? Take my short box again. I would have entered, snap it here. I would have brought my wick to here, and then I use this guy here. There we go. Tap in here, and then look, it tried to come up here, barely, and it just dumped. Beautiful. So this is where you can use additional confluences. Even though Jarvis says it's a -1, it technically was a -1. It wasn't a -3. It was a -1, which means it wasn't too bad. Neutral is 0. It was a -1. But this pullback is great because look what it did. This SEI. I mean, look at this. Like this is crazy, man. This is crazy. Um, Love this. So yeah, that's the video. It's a long one, but I like detailed videos on YouTube. Check us out on TikTok as well. TikTok and X. Follow there if you want to get involved with Jarvis and take it for a test flight. Send me a DM. Send the page a DM and we'll get you access to it and take it for a test flight. This is going to be a different way of trading, man. To be honest with you, it's really going to work out very well. So this is Jarvis, a sell trade that I lost. But again, it's still a win because you learn, right? That's all about trading. This is about learning and building. More videos to come.